Hey everyone, Greg here with Bullet Hole. Today I was wanting to talk about something that we've been doing for the last few months, but we're really trying to get some traction going with it. So a few months ago we brought in a San Antonio laser system. What that laser system allows us to do is stipple polymer gun frames. So this one right here, this is my personal Glock 34. As you can see, the whole frame has been stippled up. And I've also done a little trigger guard undercut on there as well. With that being said, today I have a customer's frame that we're going to go through. So I'm going to walk through this step by step on video. That way you all can see what exactly is going on. So to start with, on Glock frames, we can do all generations of Glock frames. So it doesn't matter what kind of Glock you have, with or without finger grooves. We can also remove the finger grooves. We can do single undercuts, double undercuts, speed bump cuts, you name it. We also offer stippling on CZ P07s and P09s, as well as the SIG P320 and P365 lines. With that being said, stippling starts at about $120. $120 gets you both sides of the frame. Then it's an additional $40 for a front strap, $40 for a back strap, and then I do $30 on the speed bumps. With that being said, the prices do vary depending on the size of the frame because of the amount of prep work. So with this frame, I already saved us a little bit of time going into this whole laser deal. I went ahead and took off the original texturing. This is a Gen 4 right here, and so we also took off the finger grooves as well. So finger grooves have been removed. This is all polished up so it'll look super nice once we're done with it. But basically this frame is completely ready to laser. So when we start out, we go and we take off all the original texture, smooth up all the edges where there might be some overlap from different spots where the laser's touching, and then we pop it underneath the laser once I get all my programming done. So we're going to step over to my shop and see how this all comes together. Alright guys, so step one is going to be aligning the program on the frame. So as you can see, I've got an outline here. With that being said, I did all the programming prior to starting this video, so you're not going to see me mess with a bunch of the computer stuff. We're just going to focus on the cool part, which is the laser actually cutting. So everything is nice in a line. You can see the outline of where the laser is going to cut, and we're going to rock and roll from here. All right guys, so now we're going to do the right side of the frame. As you can see, I've got an outline on the frame itself showing where the cut is going to be made. It's super handy when it comes to lining everything up. I've already got it lined up. I saved you guys the time of watching me nudge the frame around. So now that everything's lined up, I'm going to go ahead and prepare it for stippling here by grouping everything back together and doing some computer work here. All right, and now I'm going to start up my HVAC system because we don't want to be huffing those Glock fumes at all. And here we go. All right, so we call that a check pass. I'm gonna go in and make sure that everything looks the way I want it to look. Looks fantastic. So now we're gonna do the remaining 4 passes. You'll notice that every single pass that this laser makes is at a slightly different angle. We call that auto rotate. The whole idea there is that we're getting polymer cut from different angles every time. That gives you a little bit more of a grippy surface versus being super flat and uniform. And keep in mind, we have more than just this pattern. We've got probably about 15 or 16 patterns at this point. This one that we're doing right now is what we call our static texture. It's real comfortable for carry use. It doesn't, tear up your skin or clothing or anything like that, but it is grippier than the factory finish. All right, and this should be about the last pass on this side. All right, there it is. So now we're going to go ahead and set up to do the speed bump up front here. All right, so now we are all set to do the front speed bump. On this one, we're just doing the texture. We're not adding a cut in or anything like that. So we're hatching it up, and we're going to go ahead and do our test pass. Looks fantastic. All right, so on this one, you're going to notice there's a bit of a pause between passes, and that's because this part is working a smaller amount of surface area, so I don't want to heat up the frame too much. So I kind of spread the passes out between 10 to 20 seconds to make sure everything cools off correctly. All right, and there we go. We're done with that side. So now we're going to flip the whole gun over and do the opposite side. Since I already have the speed bump set up, we're going to go ahead and start on the speed bump. And we'll just keep rolling through this part because it goes pretty quick. All right, we're all set here. And here we go. All right, we're done there. So now we're going to go ahead and bump over to the full side here. All right, so now we're all lined up. So now I'm gonna get everything squared away and we'll laser this side. All right, here goes our test pass. The reason why we do a test pass is because I can always sand it off if something doesn't quite turn out right. So we just do one pass and make sure everything looks correct, and then rock and roll from there. All right, everything looks good, so we're going to go ahead and run the other 4 passes here. And then just to remind everybody, this can be done to all Glocks, CZ P09s, P07s, CZ P10s, SIG P320, and 365 variants. Just to explain why the laser only works on certain variants, has to do with the type of polymer that the frame's made out of, and then also the settings in which the laser cuts. So for example, San Antonio Laser developed the settings out for the 320 and 365. That took them quite a while to do. With us on the CZ-P10C, I had to sit down with a handful of back straps and basically sacrifice back straps until I got the speed, the frequency, and the power settings correct on the laser to give us a clean cut. With that being said, like Smith & Wessons or Springfield XDs, some of those types of guns, those polymers just aren't friendly to cut on. Eventually, I plan on being able to do XD series guns. I just need to experiment with a few. With that being said, like M&Ps, for example, they straight up melt when you apply laser to those types of polymer frames. They just burn to a crisp and then promptly melt. So that's why we only cut on certain specific firearms. You could always pay me to cut on those guns, but I can't guarantee you any good results. Whereas, with the Glocks and the CZs, we've got that pretty much perfected. Same with the SIGs. So that kind of is a little bit of background as to why we're selective as to what models we're doing. The other part worth mentioning too is that, while the laser process doesn't take that long to cut the frame, the programming takes quite a bit of time to draw the outline, create whatever patterns we need to create, and then get all that to work properly with our software. If you want to show the computer real quick, just to kind of show what all that looks like. Basically, in order to get a proper pattern worked out for a frame, essentially we have to take a picture of the frame and import it into our graphics software, and then I draw a wireframe around where I would like the stippling to go. So we can get pretty creative with what we're trying to do, but that is what takes time, getting the scaling right so that it fits the frame correctly, making sure all the radiuses are correct. It takes a bit of time to get all that going. It's a ton of fun though. This software is very similar to like a cross between Photoshop and AutoCAD. I've got a pretty extensive AutoCAD background, so picking it up wasn't terrible. But it did have a bit of a learning curve, and we're still learning new stuff with it every day in regards to like laser marking on mugs and thermoses, round surfaces, barrels, you name it. We're still working on all kinds of different things with this. And we're about done with our 4th pass after this, so it's almost done cutting the left side of the gun. After that, we'll take a short pause. Gonna go ahead and get the vise secured on there. That way I can do the front strap and back strap. All right, so we're done. So we're going to go ahead and pause here and get the vise fixtured up, and we'll be back with you here in a moment. All right, so now we're going to do the front strap. As you can see, we added a vise in here, and I've got everything already centered up, so we're going to go ahead and do our test pass. And keep in mind, this was a Gen 4 that originally had finger grooves, so I went ahead and removed the finger grooves per the customer, and then went back through and polished up those edges on the curves of the frame, because there are kind of some overhanging bits of the finger grooves that hang out on the side of the frame. So we got all those smoothed out, so everything looks nice and uniform now. All right, and this is our final pass here. And next we're going to go ahead and reset for the back strap. All right, so now we have the back strap set up, so we're going to go ahead and do our test pass. And I've been stepping around looking here. We are good to go for the next few passes, so I'm going to go ahead and finish it out. Again, that's just a HEPA vacuum. That way we're not sitting in here inhaling Glock fumes. All right, and this should be the final pass, and this frame will be finished. So basically, after the frame is completed, we re-oil the frame and we let it sit for about a day. One thing we've noticed is with the laser, you're pulling oil out of the polymer, so we like to add it back in. That way everything stays nice looking, because otherwise it kind of can sometimes have a little bit of a burnt look to it. So generally, when you bring a frame in, we try to turn these around pretty quick, as long as I've got the programming squared away. It doesn't take a whole lot of time, as you've seen. With that being said, we're anywhere from about 3 to 5 day turnaround on frames. So if you have any questions, by all means, give us a shout on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. My direct email is gunsmith@thebullet-hole.com. Just to show you up close, there's our texture. So we are good to go all the way around. We've got our pads. We can also wrap texture around. If you don't like the spacing between the pads, we can wrap texture. That's no problem too. Personally, with my OCD, I like those splits in there because I can get them all nice and symmetrical. As you can see, there's nice even lines between the different texture pads. Looks great, looks super professional, looks factory to me. So by all means, stop on by and come check this out. Have a great day.